Well, it looks to be -6 today inside the garage, so that would probably make it -10 or 15 outside. And if you listen carefully, you can hear the wind blowing. So welcome to winter in Canada. Another quick update video. I'll turn on some lights this time. Did more work yesterday. It was another 5 or 6 degrees warmer, and I have posted some pictures on a couple of forums, but I thought I'd update with a quick video too. So as I'd said before, still got a bit of a shoulder issue and some wrist problems, so rather than fight with clip-ons, I've mounted the Street Triple R from 2013 and on yokes or triple clamps. I wanted to use those because the bar mounts here are actually put through in solid. The earlier ones, and I had an earlier Street Triple, had a rubber mounted bushing in there, so this seemed a lot simpler and cleaner. So that's why I went with those. As usual, the forks slid right in, and I borrowed these bar clamps from the Ducati, which you can't see under the cover, and then have since got replacement ones for that Ducati. So Pro Taper bars, and they're a nice flat bend. I probably would like a little bit more pullback, but again, you know, unless you have a tubing bender, the bars are always going to be a bit of a compromise. I don't want anything higher. I don't want anything you know, more of a dirt track style. So anyway, yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine the way it is. Moving around to the front, one thing I've noticed with a couple of the Triumphs I've had is that with the stock and even the aftermarket wheel spacers for the front wheel, these are fancy captive ones that tuck in behind the seal. They're a bit narrow, I guess. There's some slop, so you can maybe see right there a little spacer on one side of the aftermarket spacer, and you can maybe see another one there, and I just found those in the box of bits. So maybe, I don't know if I'll get the these spacers remade and machined out to the proper height, or just fuss with these additional spacers in there. I'd like to make it all clean and one piece if at all possible. But what ended up happening was that the shoulder piece of this front axle would sort of feed all the way through as you thread it into this side, and then I think the whole wheel was sort of, as you're sitting on the bike, off to the left by a few millimeters. And yeah, those are the little minor things that, not that I'm an engineer, but you know, you see these things as you're putting together, and it kind of drives you a bit crazy. So spacers for now, and then I'll see if I can't get the captive wheel spacers machined up with a bit more height, so that they slide in there like with a nice slip fit or something like that. Moving around to the back, the one thing I noticed too, when the frame was modified to take this the S2R shock, I guess the welder didn't quite notice, or you know, finding a reference point was tough. But when I took this is another shock I had lying around temporary, because the S4RS Öhlins shock is getting rebuilt. That this tie rod here, just using the split in the engine case as a datum, is offset that way by, it's hard to say, like maybe by a quarter or an eighth of an inch at the top. So there's a rose joint, so it's built to have some sort of side-to-side play, but again, that's going to drive me crazy when, for the sake of a few millimeters, it could be perfectly straight up and down and vertical. Luckily, what I've noticed is that here's another rocker. It's not the same, it's not the correct one actually, it's another one that I had, but on this side of the rocker, there's plenty of meat and material here to shave off. So I'm going to do that, and so it's going to be complicated because you need to shave off the material you need to bring this over to the right. I'll need a slightly longer spacer, so commensurate with how much I take off this here. I'll have to machine down this interior spacer a bit, and then I'll have to be careful to see there's 4 needle bearings inside this, so I might be able to press 2 of them out, but then swarf and crap is going to drop down into the other needle bearing. So it might be a case of I've bought another rocker identical to this one, pressing out the bearings, lining things up, measuring things up properly, machining it to fit, machining a new spacer, machining down this interior piece, and then buying new bearings and seals, heating this up and pressing them in again. So a lot of fussing around for, you know, what looks to be, I don't know, like I said, 1/8 of an inch, but not that I'm an engineer, but it's these types of things that'll drive you crazy. And you know, it's December 13th, 14th. Anyway, I've got another 4 months of miserable, horrible, minus 30-degree weather to deal with. So a little bit of playing around in the garage and then measuring and carting things off to a machinist friend to deal with. I got plenty of time to do it. So I think I will take care of that this winter and make sure it's done right the first time. And again, if this is anything to go by, shaving off, I don't know, let's say as much as 1/4 of an inch off this side to get this to move over and line up is nothing. There's plenty of material on that thing, so I'm not worried about that at all. I guess the last thing, and I mentioned this in one of my posts, so this is a 180 tire, brand new, but it fouls on the this nice little carbon fiber hugger here. I might be able to adjust the eccentric around so that this wheel sits lower in the axle and jacks up the back end and gives me some more ride height. But I'm going to leave it mainly because the tires I'm going to run on the track are going to be 160s. So I ended up, as much as I'd like to support local, sometimes with bulk resellers, you can't beat their price. So in Canada, that's a place called Fort 9, not Fortnite, but Fort 9. I got a Michelin Power RS 160 rear and a Power GP, I think, or their quick warm-up DOT track day tire in a 120 in the front. Again, shipped to me for like, I don't know, $300 Canadian or something like that, free shipping. Whenever you order mail order tires, you're always a bit nervous about when they were actually built and how long they've been sitting on the shelf. But one of them had a 2019 build date and the other one had a 2020 build date. So again, I'm not a pro racer, so having one tire 2 years old and the other tire 1 year old, they're stored inside downstairs in nice 20-degree temperature for the winter. That'll be fine for me for the track. And like I said, sort of Michelin's were recommended. They might not be as sticky, say, as a Dunlop Q4, but you can actually ride them, I wouldn't say in a downpour, but you can get by on them in the rain. So those with the upright riding position, if I do end up racing in the rain or having a rain session on the track, I'm not worried about swapping out the wheels and worrying about rain tires and that sort of thing. And they too also have quick warm-up times. They claim within a lap they're basically up to temperature. So again, I'm not going to bother with tire warmers at this point, or ever. I'm not going to bother with tire warmers. Keep it simple. Go to the track, have some fun. I got to keep reminding myself that. So yeah, as I said, the shock is out at Capital. They did realize there was something wrong with the damping circuit, which Dave has said he's fixed. Waiting on some seals. I actually took the exhaust to a place in Brandon here that will ceramic coat it. I'm going to get it done in sort of like a satin black, so a bit of extra bling, but considering it's a mishmash of, I think, exhaust from 3 different bikes, it'll at least make it look a bit cleaner. And I guess the only last bit of bling is I realized I'm trying to find the right master cylinder bore, so I'm back to the 19 millimeter. And while I was at it, one of the guys that I follow on Moto America Racing, Sam Wiest, his name is, he raced SV650s. As a little side business, he sells titanium bolts. So I bought some titanium brake banjo bolts for the front and the rear and the proper sizes. So as I switched it out, I didn't bleed anything yet. I'll put the proper tie banjo bolts on, and then maybe again leave it until warmer weather. I'm not too keen on, you know, bleeding brakes and rubber seals when it's so so cold. So yeah, that's where we're at there. So I'm not sure what the next update will be. Whether it all depends on when the shock comes in, what that looks like, and then the new rocker, or the new used rocker, is on its way. And so I'll be taking some measurements on it to get it properly machined so everything's nice and straight. Once again, the awesome apple cart will be put to use and props up the back of the engine. So that's it for now.